Hello everyone, and welcome to K's Small Talk series. Today's topic is stress. After I started to trade live recently, I see some comments, oftentimes from beginners, and I get messages like, I will become a successful trader, or I will continue to win, and so on, like commitment, Or some even reveals their lost trade with chart attached with their comments. Of course, among the listeners, there seems to be some people who are already successful in trading. But let me introduce you one of the comments about stress because I thought it's interesting to show it to you. His name is Josh and he is in late 20s and he's got lots of stress and seems that he cannot do anything about it. The only thing he could do about stress is just to endure it. Maybe he's been lost by trades or has not been able to make any profits, or I don't know. Anyways, because I see some comments like this, today I will show you how you can see the stress and the way to overcome it. There are so many trading techniques out there, like when to make an entry, when to take a profit, fully take it or just take half and keep the rest, when you should confirm the current loss, and so on. There are so many techniques and strategies that help you to decide these things. On the other hand, there are what I call techniques for your mental state, like in what state you need to face your trading, and that's also necessary to constant winning trader. Because no matter how much you learn about techniques in Forex, the feelings that come out inside of you and a reaction of yours, if you cannot manage that, you will be unstable. And that's something that I want to talk about today. First of all, what is stress to you? What's stress? Stress sounds something bad, like let's say you get stressed when you are stuck right in the middle of the traffic, or give people a speech in front of hundreds of audience, or even when your partner doesn't listen to what you're saying, and so on. Stress is all about stimulation. For example, right now in Tokyo, it's cold outside, and that's also one of the stimulation. Or you get bit by a mosquito, and that's another type of stimulation or pain. But because of those stimulation, the body reacts to it. When you make a presentation in your office, you get nervous and get thirsty and feel your heart beating. But because of this stress, the adrenaline is secreted within your brain, making you feel, okay, let's do this. And because of this adrenaline and other hormones in your brain, the performance of your body gets better. Because of the stress, you have better performance and get better results in some cases. So when you think about it, it's not all a bad thing. Actually, stress itself is just one of the physiological reactions, and without this, humans cannot survive. So first of all, I want you to remember that stress itself is not a mere bad thing. So the stress is one of the reactions, but what's bad about it is when you feel it discomfort. Like I mentioned earlier, stress is mere stimulation and one of the simple information. But when your mind processes it, it converts it to discomfort. And that becomes a problem when you trade because it connects with your emotion. And you become emotional, then you emotionally trade. And the problem is that when you fail, it gives you a great gift of anger and sadness. That might lead you to think, oh, I have to win back the loss, or I shouldn't trade anymore, and so on. Again, stress itself is a simple stimulation or information from outside of the world, but when it creates a bad feeling within your body, you yourself get emotional and think that you cannot get good results. No matter how much you study all the techniques out there, you will face such a situation. It's inevitable. So what should we do? what should we do about stress? The simple answer will be, first of all, don't feel bad about the failure during the trade. You cannot control the stress since it's a stimulation from outside, from the chart in this case. But if you don't feel any discomfort, then you won't be emotional. So the question is, how can you be comfortable? There's a saying that preparation is the first step to success. Or in Japan we say, well prepared means no worries. So if you prepare well, you don't get worried. You don't feel the discomfort. Why you become uncomfortable is when something unexpectedly bad happens right in front of you. In contrast, when you have something unexpectedly good happens, that we call it luck sometimes, you feel good about it. But basically they are coming from the same root. No matter unexpectedly bad happens or good happens, the point is you were not prepared for it. And that's not an attitude of a successful trader. On the other hand, if you are prepared well, oftentimes you don't feel the discomfort. So I think preparation is very key. By the way, when I was watching one of the documentaries, there was a lady, a writer, who wrote a famous book called A Cat That Lived a Million Times. Unfortunately, she's already passed away by cancer, but she wrote an essay during her journey at the hospital called Willing to Die. Her name is Yoko Sano, but she was quite a character. At that time, she already knew that she will be passing away anytime soon, and she was a smoker, but because smoking is not allowed inside of the hospital, of course, she bought a brand new Jaguar and used it as her smoking space, and she did all she wants to do at that time. I think if she were not prepared well for her journey, she wouldn't be able to do such things, but rather she would get stressed by the fear of the death. But as far as I read her essay, she was not like that at all. And I thought that's because she is well prepared for it. So the sense of discomfort could be one of the things that prevent traders from being successful. And when the uncomfortable feeling accumulates, do you know what it will become? It will lead you to despair. I think Forex can easily lead anyone to this black despair and hopeless feeling. Those who decide to leave this Forex world feel no possibility of success in despair. After I ponder on the feeling of despair, I picked up some points. First of all, his goal setting is too aggressive, like I will make $1 million next year and so on. When you just look at the number, it looks like it's clear goal, but it might not realistic. Or in other case, he says, I will become a winning trader. Well, this statement is not specific enough. But there are people who put an effort on such an unrealistic and vague goals, and in that case, it easily leads to the hopeless feeling and feel exhausted. You know, those who put their constant effort on it, they've got their motivation going that they think that they can do, but when it's not rewarded, or when they think it's not rewarded in any cases, they feel exhausted very quick. So, how can you avoid such a tragedy? How do you avoid to accumulate such a hopeless feeling? I myself think that there's only one way to do. That is, you set up a rule and you follow it. And by following it, it becomes your habit. And your goal is to follow your own rule. Not the result, but following the rule should be your own goal. Of course, earning money is important, and I think that's the purpose of almost all the people, but the most important thing for the traders is the process itself. Even if you gain some amount of money, but if you broke your own rule, I think that's not something that's highly evaluated. In contrast, if you follow your own rule and end up with losing trade and lost money, that's highly evaluated. So the important thing to remember for traders is the process itself. Because when I started to enjoy the process and have feelings of some kind of philosophy or aesthetic value to it, I started to enjoy trading and started to become profitable. It's not all about winning or losing after all. So you have to decide your own rule first. How would you decide? Now there are three major things to remember to create your own rule. First, the position sizing. It's related to risk management based on your current amount of money, which I will talk in other video. Second one is the method. When to buy and when to sell. You have to have your own rule. The third point is the rule of closing the position. When to take the profit, cutting loss, and so on. If you do not have all these 3 points, you don't have your own rule. And if you do not have your own rule, you will continuously get stress that gives you pain and eventually end up with hopeless feeling in despair. Like I said, stress is simply a stimulation or information, but the problem lies when the stress creates discomfort. And to avoid that, simply you create a rule, make it as your habit, and follow the rule as your own goal. Not like setting up a goal based on how much you want to make. For example, let's say you have $1,000 in your account and set a goal to make it double $2,000 next month. Okay, I understand that that's the best scenario you have because people tend to see things positively when it comes to a goal setting, but what is your worst case scenario? The way you'll double $1,000 to $2,000 in a month might also have a risk of becoming zero next month. As you see, you have to trade in a way that you can cope with the worst case scenario. If you decide to make it double, but at the same time you think it's okay to become zero next month because it's just $1,000 of your total wealth, then that could be your position sizing. And of course, you have some technical evidence to back it up. To become successful for trading, it requires discipline and rule, and you need a commitment to follow it. Then you will start to have a sense of success that not just making money, but the fact that you followed the rule, and it actually becomes your habit to the extent that you cannot do anything else but following your own rule. Then everything else will be brought to you without any distracted emotions caused by the stress. Thank you for watching the video until the end. I hope you liked the video, and if you do, please hit the good button and make sure to subscribe my future videos and my live trading every day. Thank you.